Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP Salami Smiter build in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, the Salami can be used for multiple purposes. It's actually very overpowered because it's not only 6 camp supplies, but also a 1d4 of bludgeoning damage, and you can wield 2 of them at a time for double the fun. Now we got 2 options. We can Shillelagh Salami with the Nature Cleric, or we can do the Cursed Meat build with the Hex Blade here, which allows us to use Charisma on our Salami at level 1. Patch 8 really did buff this build because now you can do the booming Salami attack here, and you also have Eldritch Blast if we need some ranged attacks. For spells, we're going to take Salami Shield and Hex to enhance our Salami strikes. And since we have the Hex weapon, we can use our Riz to control the Salami here. So you can put at 17, use the Hag's Hair to take it up to 18, and then use our first ability score to put up to 20. Or if you don't like to use that, we can just go with a stat spread of something like this. High Dexterity is great for a higher armor class. For our next spell, we're going to take Hellish Rebuke here because we need to be able to cook the Salami, so we'll go with that there. And for the Eldritch Invocation, I like a Repelling Blast, be able to push the enemies away, and also Devil's Sight as we need to hide out with our Salami. At level 3, our spell we'll take is Hold Person. This gives us free critical hits with our Salami. It holds the enemy in place, so we can just whack them with Salami, free crit. And we're going to take our Pack Boon to be Pact of the Blade. This gives us the extra attack once we hit level 5. We already do have the Hex weapon, so it does nothing at this level, but level 4 gives us Mage Hand, which is great because we can take our Salami and drop it on the ground, and then Mage Hand can throw Salami at the enemies. Minor Illusion is also nice because you make the enemy turn around, and then you can whack them with the Salami. Now for our next leveled spell, Darkness is really good because we can hide out and then get some attacks with advantage with our Salami, or also Mirror Image to increase our armor class by 9. It really depends what you prefer. I'm going to go with this. Mage Hand is another Misty Step is another consideration to teleport around to be able to hit people with your Salami that you may not normally be able to. And for our first feat, we're going to go with the Charisma increase for the Salami Riz increase to our attack rolls. And here at level 5, this is when we get our extra attack, which is a huge power spike for us, because this now means that per action, we can attack twice with our Salami Hex weapon, the Cursed Meat attack. This also gives us access to a really fun spell with Hunger of Hadar. I also like to have Counter Spell, but what we can also do is take another level here before we multi-class. I also like to take an Agonizing Blast. It's just nice to have your Charisma modifier added to Eldritch Blast as a backup in case you want to deal extra damage. But level 6 gives us the Accursed Spectre. So this is our like Salami Ghost here. So it can team up whenever we take out an enemy. As long as we don't take out the enemy using Call the Weak, we can raise a Ghost there, which is super useful. This also lets us take Counterspell, which is a really nice spell just to stop enemies from spellcasting against us, giving us some defensiveness to protect our Salami. At this point, it's best to go ahead and add in the Paladin here, and I'd recommend going with the Oath of Vengeance here, but the Oath of the Crown is also a nice, fun option. This gives us Inquisitor's Might, which can allow our Salami to daze enemies. We have actually another way for our Salami to daze enemies, which I'll be covering, because it does come with a special weapon action. But yeah, this will allow us to deal additional radiant damage, which is really nice if we wanted to go into a debuffing route. But level 2 is when we become the Salami Smiter, because we get Divine Smite, which we can put as a reaction and deal a bunch of extra radiant damage on the enemies, further enhancing our Salami attacks, which is fantastic. We can then go ahead here with Dueling, which will add 2 additional damage on our Salami strikes, which is great. But you can also add in a defense here to protect your Salami a little bit more. I like the defense or the Dueling just for the extra damage on this bursty damage class. I also like to take the Command spell. With specific gear, you can use this as a bonus action, Command Approach, so you can smack him with the Salami without having even to move. Taking Searing Smite makes sense because Salami, you cook it, it's going to be hot. Also, Wrathful Smite and Thunder Smite are just nice. The pushback can be useful. Heroism, because it takes a true hero to be able to wield the Salami. And then Bless, because only Blessed Warriors use the Salami as well. Level 3 gives us Vow of Enmity, which we can apply to ourselves to get advantage on attack rolls for 10 turns. Pretty crazy stuff because this does not require concentration, so we get really angry with the Salami, and advantage on all attacks. We also get Hunter's Mark, which lets us deal additional bludgeoning damage from our Salami strikes, so that can be nice instead of Hex if we wanted it. Bane is kind of just there. And at level 4, our feat will either be Alert, because you need to be alert if you're wielding the Salami, or an increase to 20 Charisma if you didn't have the Hag's Hair. So either of those. Another good option is the Savage Attackers to reroll your Salami strikes a little bit better, and you could even go like Stabber Brawler if you want to throw your Salami. If you have Tasha's feats mod, you could take the Chef feat. It actually makes a lot of sense here, even though it gives you the Chef's Treat. That's kind of the weapon we're using. I'm going to go with the increase of Charisma, but Alert is my other preferred choice. Now, level 5, you guys at this point, you could remove Hold Person from the Warlock and take something different, like Misty Step or Crown of Madness. But we get our extra attack here. Now, when we bind our Hex Salami Cursed Meat, we get that 3 attacks And this is at level 11, the same that a fighter would get it, which is really nice. I was debating doing the Eldritch Knight, but I just found this worked a little bit more powerfully for what I wanted it to do, divine smiting them. I may do a build for honor mode in the future. If you want to see that, just let me know, because the Salami's a fun weapon to use. But Misty Step and the hold, I guess we didn't need to take hold person there. Mirror Image, Invisibility, Crown of Madness, Cloud of Daggers, lots of great options there if you wanted to. For our Paladin spells, we now get access to Branding Smites, so we can turn people stopping from being invisible with our smites, which is nice. Aid to heal our team. Protection from poison, because cursed meat can be poisonous. And level 6 here gives us aura protection from the Paladin. This is our final level. So a +6 bonus to our saving throws if the enemy or our allies are within 3 meters. So we're now the Salami shielder for our entire team. The outfit mod I was using is Lunan Umbra by Aridea on Nexus Mods. And now for gear, we're obviously going to roll the dual Salami build here, so this could be good. I guess you could also use the Salami and shield if you want to be a bit more defensive here. It really just up to you what you prefer having, because we get our armor class up to 25 using the Salami shield combo. And it looks really fun to have a huge shield and then the tiny Salami there. But alternatively, I guess we had the dueling feet fighting style, so you'd want to use the shield. But I'm going to use this anyways. Birthright Hat for the +2 to Charisma. This is going to boost up our saving throws and attack rolls. I also got the Cloak Protection. You can use the Deathstalker Mantle for your Dirge or the Thunder Skin Cloak, because this can make the enemy dazed, allowing us to land command and hold person easier. Because I got the Boots of Stormy Clamor on here, which will then, when we do a condition on the enemy, give 2 turns of reverberation. I have the Helldust gloves on, but what I actually prefer, this gives fire damage, which makes sense with Salami. It's a hot Salami. And then with the Elemental Infusion Ring, where Booming Blade will add a 1d4 of thunder damage with our fire damage, it becomes pretty fun. But I also like to use the Luminous Gloves whenever we deal radiant damage. We apply 2 turns of Radiating Orb. And then the Callous Glow Ring is when we're illuminated, we do additional 2 points of damage. So this is really good if we have some light sources. We can do a bunch of debuffs on the enemy as well, making the Salami pretty effective. So that'll set up a -2 to the enemy attack rolls, and then 2 turns of Reverberation, which could potentially end up knocking the enemy prone. The Coruscation Ring can also be a nice addition here if you want to further stack up Radiating Orbs when we do a bit of spell casting as well. I have the Amulet of Greater Health because we need that if we're going to be wielding these Salamis. They're pretty powerful weapons, dealing that 1d4 bludgeoning. And don't forget to bind your Cursed Meat weapon there, so that's an important step, making sure you get the extra attack. And activate the Salami Shield here to keep your team safe with +6 to saving throws. Now, I didn't roll the highest initiative here because I didn't invest fully into alert or dexterity, but if you have another teammate that has an Arrow of Darkness, this is a huge boost because then we're going to get advantage on our attack rolls because we can see in darkness than they can. Another benefit of this is we can break line of sight with the darkness, and then it's our turn here now. So what's great about this is we can actually go right up and use Divine Smite or Booming Blade, which will have advantage, so we're likely not going to miss this, and take them out just like that. And raising the Accursed Spectre, so our Salami, a ghost here, is perfect, because, yeah, it also can see in darkness. So then we can go around. I don't think I'll use a Divine Smite on this target, 98% hit chance, smiting them. We applied Radiating Orbs for 2 turns, and 2 turns of Reverberation as well. I should have probably upcasted that. This will take them out, and there we go. The great thing about that is we get 3 attacks per action, so very economical in terms of damage output. Now, one thing is you can drop the Cursed Meat Cloud here, Hunger of Hadar, which is great because then we can do a little bit of crowd control if we didn't get counterspelled. And for our bonus action, we have a lot of options. We got Hex if we wanted to hold the concentration, because we don't have to hold a Darkness concentration with the arrows. Hunter's Mark. We even have the Vow of Enmity there to give ourselves the advantage if we're not in darkness here. And the Hexblade Curse will give us additional damage on a target. We could also alternatively do an offhand attack for a measly 1d4 of damage. I want to put the boost to our attack rolls on. And it's really hard for enemies to hit us, even if they try, so that's a really nice boost with the darkness, giving us some survivability. And this is where Counterspell comes in handy, because we can stop this or use Psionic Dominance if you're a Illithid, half Illithid. Alright, we'll try this again, dropping the Hunger of Hadar here to now crowd control a large group of enemies. It's just nice to have this area locked down now with our darkness and Hunger of Hadar. We can't use the Hunger of Hadar, though. And everyone here is blinded, so we may as well go ahead with a Booming Blade to try and take out a target here, and then use Divine Smites to potentially finish them off here. We may need one more attack to do it. The Salami doesn't obviously have the most damage output. And then an advantage offhand attack there with a Reaction Smite to finish them off. That's one of the nice things about dual wielding as a Paladin, is you can put on Reaction Smites and do exactly that. We wouldn't normally have had enough damage, but with the Call of the Week and all that put together, it was actually pretty powerful. And our Hunger of Hadar there is holding it down, and for some reason they are attacking each other, so that's great. I guess the Salami is confusing them. And our Spectre didn't really do anything, it just kind of sat there for its turn. All right, so this target here is a priority because they keep dropping commands on our team. So we're going to go in with a booming blade here, which has advantage because of our vow of enmity, which was enough to get the one shot. Great. We can then follow it up. I'm out of spell slots. That's the one thing is the Salami is hungry for your spell slots, so you do rip through them really quickly. I would recommend turning off offhand attacks there. It's probably best to use your bonus action on a different purpose because our damage output is not that high if we're just doing normal attacks here. But you can see you can whack away at targets and potentially get a knockout. I would recommend using Arrow of Many Targets to apply a really nice debuff if you got the Arrow of Many Targets, because what happens is if you're illuminated, we can apply the radiant damage on multiple targets. We got reverberation on them all, but that was, yeah. And our Spectre finally decided to attack. That was nice, 14 damage. And it's our turn again, so we gotta do the Salami bonk multiple times here to try and take out targets because, yeah, we're out of our fuel to power those up, so we got to get really resourceful. And if there's targets that are far away, you can use the Arrow of Darkness too to be able to set up a little bit extra damage or a little bit extra safety so you can hide out. But an Arrow of Many Targets can work really well sometimes like that, taking out multiple targets at a time. And then a backup, if you need it, is the Arrow of Humanoid Slaying. Or we got a good old-fashioned Eldritch Blast too. The bow is kind of just there for the extra initiative, but sometimes I'm not able to reach a target and I don't have an action, so you got to use the bow. So there is the Salami Striker build in Baldur's Gate 3. Very spell slot hungry, so that's something to keep in mind, but very fun to play. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. We'll catch you all in the next video.